We are live on the Virtual Grip Network, and once again, we hop in the DeLorean to travel back to 1966 for this season's YesterYear Tour Modified, where some of the best Tour Mod drivers will compete for one of the most prestigious and unique titles on the iRacing platform, the Old Red Boot. I'm Zach Chapman, a.k.a. Shaggy, along with my partner in crime, J.R. Shepard. We're lucky enough to have the best, the heartbeat of EGN, bringing us all of the sights and sounds, the one and only Ryan Seneker. When we entered the state of Tennessee for weeks 4 and 5, the series had seen 2 different winners. When the dust settled, we doubled that list, adding Tom Ogle and our most recent addition, Darrell Weininger. The two battled side by side in both events. Tom Ogle came out of the battle with a slight edge in the overall war. Tom leads the points by the smallest of margins, 1 point over Todd Liston. Will Tom be able to hold on to that lead, or can Todd Liston find a way to get himself back on top of the mountain as we go up north for week 6 of the YesterYear Tour Modified? Tonight's race is based on a 100-lap modified feature event held on Sunday, May 29, 1966. The event was in front of a sellout crowd and was won by Hop Harrington of Pawtucket, Rhode Island. Back in the day, they broke the feature in half, doing 2 50-lap segments. Both saw Harrington taking the checkered flag. But for tonight, week 6, we have 0 scheduled breaks, and from what we've seen so far this season, we're in for an absolute showstopper tonight at the Thompson Speedway. Now, JR, we've seen these boys take enough laps. We know they have patience, but tonight it's only 63 miles. How do you unleash that pace and still leave a little left in the tank for the final push?
It's going to be tough, Shaggy. I mean, Thompson, it's one of the toughest short tracks that these guys are going to race on. Place is only 5/8 of a mile, in length. But the big issue at this track is the narrow racing groove that will make passing here very difficult, especially driving these Tour Modifieds around this place, something that we have previously talked about. These cars do not have great visibility from the cockpit, especially on the right-hand side where the air cleaner blocks a lot of your vision. The narrow groove and that low cockpit visibility, I think, will be the storylines here tonight and will more than likely lead to several cautions. If you're on the bottom trying to make a pass, the car tends to push up on corner exit, and it's very, very easy to misjudge where your right front tire is in relation to that car you're trying to pass. This often leads to contact, and unfortunately, if that happens in front of you here, it's going to be super difficult to try to avoid that. Another thing to remember tonight is that this track position is going to be key. Qualifying will be key. So, Shaggy, I expect those drivers qualifying up front to try to make their tires last the entire race here tonight.
Man, oh man, I don't know how you guys do it, going 100 laps on one set of rubber, but man, we'll see. We'll see if they're good enough, JR, if they can pull it off. But something maybe I haven't given the credit to this season that it deserves, because as I mentioned, we're week 5 now. But 2 are week 6, excuse me. Or no, we are week 5. Hang on, let me double check. No, yeah, week 6, duh. Keep backtracking. But 4 different winners this season, and JR, we've read a little bit. The Hubble YesterYear League AI bot, okay? You know, I'm honest. I talked a little crap on it, didn't know what to say about it, but it's predicted 2 winners so far this season, so maybe we need to give it some credit. And it's got Tom Ogle coming out on top tonight, and you got to think that's a pretty popular pick. You think Tom stands a chance here this evening?
I think Tom would normally stand a chance anywhere we go, but I'm looking at where he qualified just a few minutes ago. It's not great, and I talked about that track position. If he wins here tonight, he's definitely king, because this is going to be a very, very tough feat to do. Actually, he just jumped up the chart, Shaggy, so my bad. I think he could win here.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. I saw purple on the bottom of my screen, and I think he maybe just ran that high line, lap 1 and 2, to kind of warm him up here. But you'll see. We won't spoil it, but I will tell you he's in the top 5. His qualifying comes to a close. We'll get ready to show you that starting grid. But, some other favorites. It's got Harden finishing in the top 5, and it's got Bianchi finishing 5th tonight. I think that may be a little low if Brian can put together a good run. But let's go ahead. Let's bring up that starting grid, and JR and I will give you a rundown here for the Connecticut 100. Ken Allen starting on the pole to the outside of the front row, Jeff Lemire.
Yeah, inside of row 2, there's Tom Ogle jumped up late on the speed chart to 3rd place. On the outside in 4th place will be Bruce Pearson.
Scott Negus lines up on the inside of row 3 to the outside defending champion, Brian Bianchi.
Rolling off inside of row 4, we have Randy Schuler. On the outside in that 7 car, Chris Davis.
Rory Collins to the inside of row 5 to the outside, Gavin Adams.
Rolling off in 11th place, we got Alan Wanamaker. On the outside in 12th place, a guy that's done very good so far this year, Jeffrey Harden.
Rolling off in the lucky number 13 spot, Jerry Isaacs. To the top shelf, Brian Johnson.
Inside row 8, we got Chris Hazlip. On the outside in 16th place, Terrence Childs.
Stephen Hilbert lines up on the inside of row 9 to the outside, old Luke Logan Allen.
Rolling off inside of row 10, we've got Todd Liston. On the outside in that 60 car, Brian Neff.
Row 11 to the inside, John Hastings. To the outside, Dave Batone. And rounding out the field, Michael Dow all by himself inside of row 17. Now, I know, JR, what Tom did there going slow on his lap 1 kind of spoiled my intro here, because I was going to ask you, being 100 laps here, is there a spot where, you're definitely not doomed, but if you're maybe outside of the top 10, is that asking a lot here tonight in 100 laps?
I think it is. Obviously, I talked about the drivers up front trying to go the whole race on the tires. I think that will be the case, but if you're in the back, it may not be a bad thing. Tire strategy could come into play if we get cautions at an appropriate time. They do have an unlimited set of tires in the pits. So I think some of that could come into play and could allow you to make some passes. But I don't care where you're at in this field, it is going to be difficult to make that pass. You're going to have to be super committed on corner entry on that bottom side, and probably going to have to do a little bit of a slide job on your competitor.
So is that the plan here for Ken? Then Ken Allen starting P1, do you think you need to get up to the outside by the time we're coming off a 2? Or do you think he can run the thing the whole way around the bottom?
I think he's going to have to at least be side by side when he comes off turn 2. Ideally, he wants to be clear, but that is going to be difficult because I think these drivers, they have to wait till that green flag comes out before they go.
He struck off. The green flag is high. It's ready to fly. We got 100 laps to play at the Thompson Speedway. Great jump by Ken Allen, and he's bringing along a partner here. Tom Ogle already up to P2.
Yeah, Ogle with a great start, pushing Ken out to the lead there, and that's going to allow him to jump into 2nd place. That's a great spot because we do get a caution. He's in that outside lane, which is preferred around here.
And you see that double deuce, Bruce Pearson. Looks like he's struggling a little bit on the inside, maybe getting a little loose. Oh, it's almost sandwiched in the middle, 3 wide. But Davis, and I believe that was Chris Davis. Now, I'll tell you, if Soup could have seen that, he would have been excited because Chris lifted. Said, oh, now we're wrecking beyond. We got a guy spinning down through the infield. No caution, and I don't think we're going to get one because of where he spun, JR. Never mind. We got one. Gavin Adams.
We got one, yeah, and I don't know if there was something else that happened on the racing surface that actually brought out the caution, but yeah, Gavin Adams going for a spin through the infield. The good thing for him is that he has no major damage, so he will be able to continue on here.
Yeah, we did end up, I'm trying to figure out who that is. We had a...
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Alan Wanamaker, wow. That was a... Man, somebody might want to go check on him, JR. That was a ride.
That was a big ride, and you can see it all happened from the 31 car who was involved in the initial contact. Randy Schuler unable to keep control of that car, and I don't think there was anything he could do to keep control, but he slid back up onto the racing surface there. Hitting that bump, I guess, is the main thing that sent him up the racetrack like he did, and Allen was there, unfortunately, to take that blow, and yeah, up and over the wall, so his night is going to be done, more than likely there.
Yeah, kind of unbelievable. I mean, Randy obviously coming down pit road, but, JR, that thing didn't look as beat up as it probably should have. everything was pretty straight on that. Randy may be able to get out of here and be okay. He is getting off pit road, not going to lose a lap. And that was a big shot to be able to keep on rolling. I didn't know these things are that durable.
It was a big shot, and obviously he took most of that force with the front bumper. So the suspensions, right front, left front suspensions on these cars, they are very vulnerable if you hit them at the right angle. But if you hit that front Nerf bar, that front bumper, it is going to take a lot of that blow. You'll have damage. You could have as much as engine damage that is going to slow you down, but you will be able to continue. And right now, it looks like he's going to be able to continue. And we know points are going to be super important. So got to turn laps, even if it's not ideal.
Yeah, and while, if you had a poor qualifying effort here, JR, and maybe you want some free spots, caution's not necessarily the way to get it, because you remember 1966 here, man, the lights are off, but we line up single file, and man, when we're at this, what is this, a little over 0.6 of a mile, I mean, this is, you're almost half a lap down if you're at the tail end of this thing.
That is a big deal. Yeah, running on the 66 rules, this is difficult. Now, I like the single file starts because it's going to mean a cleaner race, hopefully. I'm not going to have all that side-by-side contact, but it is going to be difficult for those drivers that are in the back of the field because they're so far behind right now.
As the green flag waves, we're back underway. Rough start for Jeff Lemire. He's got Bianchi now all over him, and they're already too wide behind him. Vegas on the outside, Chris Davis to the inside. Vegas having to lift out of that throttle a little bit. Chris going to try to get aggressive here. Can he get it done? He floats up the racetrack, but Vegas still hangs around.
Yeah, Scott doing a great job. The outside, we talk about it being the preferred lane most of the time, but these cars do get tight to the center of the corner, and then when you apply the throttle, the rear end wants to step out. Very difficult when you're side by side not to get loose on corner exit.
Battling for third, Bianchi taking a peek underneath the 15 of Jeff Lemire, but he just couldn't get it to stick there coming off of 4. JR, you're the track man. It just seems like when guys are trying to muscle up and come off underneath here tonight, especially off of 4, man, you got your hands full. Are they suffering for a lack of grip down there?
Oh, yeah, big time. So, yeah, the corner exit of turn 4 really rolls away, flattens out. And as you're applying that throttle, if you over throttle, and I'm talking just 5 to 10% more than what you need to be doing, that rear end will snap quick on you. So these cars, they have a lot of horsepower. They create a lot of downforce and grip until they don't have it. And it's usually on corner exit in these cars. And if you light that right rear up too many times, you are going to be struggling for grip when you get down to the next corner. And it's going to affect you on corner entry. The car's going to get very loose.
Man. Chris Davis right there. Any slip up by that double deuce of Bruce Pearson, he's going to try to take a sniff underneath that puppy dog on the left rear. But Bruce doing just enough running that middle of the racetrack, and that's where it's so difficult, JR. You see, he thought about maybe going high. Bruce just going to float up. That's almost the perfect line of defense here, and unless Chris gets a little impatient, it's going to be tough to get around that line.
It's going to be tough, yeah, and that's what Bruce has a lot of laps around places like this. He knows the line he needs to run, and if you watch him carefully, he's not entering as high as he would like to run, I think. He's entering more in the middle. Now, Chris is going to dive under him, and contact is going to get made. It looked like they were going to keep it going, but Chris Davis goes around, and finally that caution comes out.
Well, we saw it brewing, Chris, that, you got the pace, and I'm one of those guys that suffer that, JR. I can tell you for sure, being out there watching you race, you are not one of them. You have what it takes to stay patient. But sometimes, man, it's just tough to hold the horses back.
It is. I mean, at a place that's so tough to pass, you tend to take every opportunity, every run that you get to try to make a pass. But at places like this, you've got to be calculated when you do it. It's very easy, especially in these Tour Modifieds, because they carry a lot of speed and they are difficult to get slowed down once you get to the corner. So if you make that late dive like that, more than likely you're going to slide up in the corner. And if that outside car doesn't know that you're sliding up, there's going to be contact made. So it is very difficult, especially at a place like this, running the Tour Modifieds.
Let's bring up Brian Bianchi here real quick. We'll get him. I think we'll probably have about 30 seconds or so to talk to him quick. Brian, Shaggy up in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Gotcha.
Been a rough couple weeks for you, man. You had that internet issue. We saw you, get involved in a wreck. Not necessarily your fault, but you're back up in the top 5, man. What's it going to take to bring it home tonight?
Gotta pace myself here. Don't want to wear out the tires too early. I mean, it's early. I'm assuming if we get a caution about halfway, we'll take some tires, and then we'll make our move.
Hey, light's still on, JR. We got plenty of time. Fire one.
Hey, Brian, that's what I wanted to ask you. You just brought it up about the potential tire strategy if we get a caution around halfway. I don't want to jinx anything, but if this thing does go green until very late in the race, say 15 to go, we get a caution, you plan on staying out, keeping it up front?
Probably. We'll see how it feels. If I'm really loose, then I might go in and take 2. Depending on what my position is on the track too. So we'll see what happens.
Well, hey, Brian, park that thing on the top step, man. Go get him. We're rooting for you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
I mean, that guy, he has had a rough one. He got involved in the wreck. Daytona lap 1 in that double points race. I mean, JR, he's been running in the top 5, but this guy, he just hasn't been able to string a couple of good finishes together in a row. He needs this.
Yeah, it's brutal. And when you have races like that and you're having a decent race going, you want to capitalize on it. So this is his race to capitalize on things and get that season turned back around.
The green flag waves here for the 3rd time. We're back underway, lap 25th of the way through, and look at Tom Ogle. Oh, man, I thought he was going to take a peek there, but he lifts. Maybe just bluffed in here early. But, JR, we've called so many races here, and, I'm 99% sure you're going to say if you can get out front, go do it. But is there a time and a place for Tom? If he's got the speed, should he go now or should he just wait?
A lot of it depends on your competitor. So, Kenny Allen out front, it depends on how hard he's running. That's something that we don't know. But if Tom feels like Ken is running really hard right now, then Tom's just going to sit back, watch, and relax and take care of his equipment and look to attack later in the run. But if he feels like he's running at an okay pace, say 80, 85%, and he's still making ground on Ken, then he's going to look to make a move eventually. But he's got to do it when he has room behind him. And on the screen right now, you can see he does have that room. So if he were going to be making a pass or attempting to make a pass, now's the time to do it.
Hey, we're not going to sugarcoat this thing. We know how good Ken Allen is. Tom Ogle is awesome as well. But a guy like Ken Allen, if you're running behind him, JR, is there a number you got in mind, gap-wise? If let's say he would drive off to a 3-second lead, is that too much time to make up, even if you have a tire advantage? I mean, what's the gap you got to try to stay within?
Yeah, if you're going into tire-saving mode behind that leader, I think you want to keep it within a 1-second gap for sure. Ideally, a little bit less than that. But if you can keep it within that 1-second gap, that's something that you can make up late into a run if you save your tires and the leader has not taken care of his. So that's something that Tom's going to be thinking about. Right now, he's running just under that half-second deal.
We've seen, the early cautions, JR. It seems like getting a little bit of single file. This is the closest battle now. Brian Neff taking a peek under Steve Hilbert, but just couldn't do it there. Had to back off a little bit, but he gets a good run center off. Steve really had to back out the throttle.
Yeah, and that was actually really good by Neff there, because turn 1 on entrance is not something where you want to really try to make a move. So you saw Brian Neff, he backed out a little bit on corner entrance, but he made that ground up on corner exit. And that's all you want to do through 1 and 2 is be able to get a run. You want to try to make your passes down here in 3 and 4 where you have more of a racing group to work with.
I know he's a lap down, Ryan, but how did Allen Wanamaker get back out on the racetrack? He was in the weeds, JR. That thing, it looks like he's still got a little bit of pace. I mean, he is... let's see, 3 laps down, so not going to get any help. Oh, caution flag waves. Saw a little smoke there coming out of 2. Dave Batone, maybe a single car wreck. We'll see if he had some help here. Yeah, the KFC machine got a little loose, then got some help. But I don't think Chris Davis really could have done much there. That 66 was already gone, Jalen.
Yeah, it's very difficult, and it's very hard to explain to those watching from home that avoiding contact like that is super difficult in a Tour Modified. We talked about that air cleaner with the angle that Chris Davis had going off of turn 2. He was not going to have a clear vision of Dave Patone right there until after it was too late, and that's why that contact was made. But absolutely nothing he could do. Dave was already loose at that point, and yeah, that late contact is what ultimately brought the caution out. Otherwise, we'd continued on.
Let's see here. We got that 36 of Jeffrey Harden running 5th. Let's pull Jeff up here. Let's get a word with that man. Jeffrey, Shaggy in the booth, brother. What's going on?
Hey, Shaggy, what's going on, brother?
Dude, you're sitting in the top 5 once again, man. You keep putting yourself in the right spot. How do we bring home this trophy tonight? What do you got to do?
Oh, man, I think I'm going to need a miracle. Those guys are fast up there. I'm just kind of holding on, waiting. Hopefully they fade. I don't know. It's so hard to pass here.
Now, you know, JR asked earlier when we had, who did we have in? I'm terrible. My memory's so bad. Yeah, Brian Bianchi, that's right. What, you're a 100-lapper guy. You're used to one set of tires. Is there a point where maybe we get a caution in 20 laps? You think about coming in, or are we going to stay out on these sneakers the whole night?
I think being this far up front, it's I'm going 100 laps. I mean, unless everybody in front of me ducks, then, I'll go. But more than likely, I'm running these the whole set.
Any last words of wisdom, JR?
No, I think Jeffrey's got it figured out, to be honest with you. He's used to the 100-lap races. Jeffrey, I know you're in that top 5. You know how to be patient here, man. Just hang on to it, do the best you can, take care of those tires.
All right, thanks, JR. Thanks, guys, man. Have a good broadcast.
Yeah, go get him. That's Jeffrey Harden. And now, with that advice, I think you just earned yourself at least 10% of the winnings. I was trying to...
I think so, yeah.
I mean, I was just trying to work you in on a cut of the deal. I think it worked out.
Yeah, no, but ultimately he knows the deal. He knows how to get around this place, and this is his type of race, so I think it'll work out.
Ken Allen waiting to drop that hammer. He goes a little later this time, and Tom Ogle, man, he was there. JR, okay, what's your take on a leader? I think it's disadvantage for the leader to go late. Not that you want to go real early every time, but it just seems like if you wait for later in the box, that guy's there. And look, Tom's making a move.
Yeah, it absolutely is a disadvantage. You normally have to mix it up a little bit. You don't want to show him the same thing twice, unless you're just looking to throw him off in a race that you're getting a ton of cautions. But normally you don't want to show the same thing twice. So it is a disadvantage. Tom was ready for that green when it came out. And right now he's looking to put pressure on Kenny Allen up there. I don't know that he's trying to make a pass, but he's looking to put tons of pressure on him to see if he'll slip up and make a mistake.
Yeah, it's almost a case of, let him get there, let him hear you rattle the cage a little bit, maybe brush him off his rhythm. But a driver like Ken Allen, man, not likely. And we're watching Liston try to work his way up through the field. JR, he came into tonight 1 point out of the championship lead. He had a rough week last week, and so far tonight, not looking very good with Tom Ogle running second. We've Liston right now 16th.
Yeah, he absolutely is. He's trying to come through the field. I noticed he's running lower than anybody else. Oh, we actually got some contact going into turn 1 up there. And I believe that was Jerry Isaacs that may have got in just a little too hot. He's going to be fine, but he did make slight contact with that outside wall, kind of jumping the groove, or the cushion, if you will, going up over those marbles.
Yeah, kind of surprised here. We do have, let's see, who's the first person? So Chris Davis, obviously, when he was involved in the accident, he came down pit road. But other than that, not many guys have taken trips down pit road, JR, with only getting maybe, 7, 8 green flag laps in that first stint. Does Chris have any type of advantage with just a little bit of fresher tires?
The fresher tires are going to give him maneuverability, so that is something. He's going to be able to move around the track better and be able to point his car on corner exit better to try to get a run than those other cars around him. But, we talked about it multiple times. Passing around this place is so difficult to do, so I just don't see it being a huge advantage. He will continue to move forward, but it's going to be slow.
Tom Ogle, JR, he's trying to take your advice. He got that big run from the center at 2. He tried to do it again, got a little loose there, but he was side by side in 3 and 4. But Ken just holding firm and right in that center lane. It's gonna Man, JR, we're not supposed to encourage this, but I'm telling you, without using that chrome horn a little bit tonight, it is going to be tough to get around.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. And like I talked about earlier, normally the way you want to pass here at Thompson, it's just way too flat on corner entry going into turn one. You want to be able to run a line that gives you momentum off of turn two where you can get to the inside, ideally at least side by side with that car you're trying to pass. And then you're going to run a very unique climb when you get down to turn three, all the way down close to that apron and try to do a slide job. Now you got to be ready because that outside car may try to pin you down.
Caution flag waves, and I've got a bad feeling our man second place in points was involved, Todd Liston. Couldn't tell what happened here. That looks like you'll see it here coming. This looks like a malfunction of some kind, JR.
Yeah, definitely. Because, yeah, he immediately tried to stop and looked like he turned the wheel right because he knew that was the direction to avoid contact with any of his competitors. But unfortunately, the car behind just was not able to avoid. But, yeah, definitely something happened. Looked like a wheel issue. Something like that went wrong there. And he was doing what he could to try to get out of the way. But yeah, so that's iRacing's version of having a mechanical failure. That's the way that we have to look at it. It happens. It really sucks when it does because you never know when something like that's going to pop up.
Okay, really weird there. Brian Johnson, he came down pit road really quick, but was only in the pit stall for 0.72 seconds. So maybe just checking if he got some damage out of something. But other guys like Luke Allen, Brian Neff, it's looking like they all got right sides at least. And coming to that halfway point, do you think they got enough time to cut a rug, get up through the field here if it stays green?
It's not a bad move for them. First of all, they were mid-pack at best. So coming in around halfway, which is we're going to be about halfway when we go back to green here, is a great time to come in and at least get those right side tires. That's probably all you can take at this place without going a lap down under caution, especially if you're pitting back in the pack. So at least come in, get those right side tires, maybe even make another lap around and come in and get those left side tires. That's going to allow you, like I talked about, to have maneuverability. It will start to help you against those drivers who are still on the original set of tires as we get late into this race. Now, it's going to take a few laps because these modifieds like cool tire temperatures after a restart, so it may take 5 or 10 laps before you start to see that advantage. But I do think that those drivers in the back will have an advantage. They just have to be super careful. Like we talked about, passing is super difficult, very, very easy to make contact.
And I think Tom Ogle's thinking if he can ace another one of these restarts, maybe try to make the move on cold tires. We'll have to see as we're back underway. Another good restart for Tom Ogle. And, man, he bluffs once again going into one. Love the mind games, trying to diamond off of two. He's got to run there door to door as we enter three.
Yeah, he's in a great position, and Kenny did not hold him down on corner entry. Tom's going to have a good run, but he did not get that pass made. Now is the tough part going into turn one.
He drives it in deep. Oh, and Ken maybe trying to avoid, gets up in the marbles a little bit. I'll tell you, all's fair in love and war there. Tom did nothing wrong. He left him plenty of room, but sometimes you can just get bluffed into it, and I think that scared Allen a little bit as he falls back to fifth.
Yeah, definitely. I think he was trying to give room and just got too high up in the marbles, and once it gets up there, there's no control. It's going to go right to the wall. But, yeah, I'm always the driver in these modifieds that I'm going to be willing to let you make contact with me before I get out of that racing groove. It's hard to commit to that, but something you got to do.
No, and definitely not that Tom, wanted that to happen, but that's got to be dream scenario if you're Tom Ogle, because now, Ken Allen, he's going to be fast, but he's going to drive a lot of shine off those good years trying to pass those three guys to get back to him. This is not going to be easy, and Jeffrey Hart making him work now as we were watching Chris Davis. Now we're back on Hart, and I'm glad we came because, look, Ken Allen trying to take that peak. Which is not enough of a run here, JR. Can he get there? No.
Yeah, he's going to be working hard because he's frustrated. He wants to get back up to where he was running inside the top 2 and 3 there. So he's going to be pushing hard. Unfortunately, it's going to take some life out of those tires. He's trying to make a run off of turn 2. Wasn't quite there, but he's got to be able to make it stick through 3 and 4 if he wants any chance going into turn 1 to get a little bit loose there.
Man, Harden didn't blink there, JR. He held that white line. He left him room, but he said, I'm staying. He's using the JR philosophy, going to make it work. Holds his ground once again, and Ken Allen, man, he is just going to be putting his head in his hands, driving down the straightaway. What do I got to do? Jeff doing his work out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Jeff's running the perfect line. I mean, that's all you can do. If you're a little bit slower than that driver behind you, run that perfect line. Do not overdrive corner entry. Don't make a mistake. Force that other driver to pass you. Make him work for it. And that doesn't mean that you're being aggressive. You're just running the preferred line. And he's going to have to do something special to get around you if you continue to do that lap after lap.
Taking one more peek here as we enter 3. Coming to lap 57 this time. Tom Ogle just crossed the line. As you see, they're coming out of 4. So Tom is starting to put a little bit of distance between these guys. 1.3 back to second. About 2.5 to those guys as Chris Davis, you see, going way low coming out of 2. Maybe playing a little defense here is almost lost one going into 3, but was able to hold on. Torrance Childs is really trying.
Yeah, these drivers are starting to push a little bit more because we're past halfway. So they know they have to be trying to make up some ground if they want to finish higher than what they're currently running. Again, going to be difficult, but these drivers are starting to push harder and harder. Usually that leads to some weird contact, weird action and wrecks on this track.
And we almost saw some there. Scott Negus was trying to get to the outside of the double deuce. Bruce Pearson, he closed the gap, and Negus once again using that brake pedal, playing smart. But he's trying to find a way around. Here he comes with another run. Not going to be able to pull to the inside, but JR, I like the entry to 1 here as he's setting him up for a little something going down the backstretch.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. And the thing is, Scott's looking. So you saw he lost ground there this time around, but he's looking. He's trying different lines. That's what you've got to do. You've got to figure out where the weakness of the car in front of you is so you can have a shot there. As we see Brian Johnson going around on the outside of Chris Hazlett.
Yeah, Brian getting to use that outside. Not many guys leaving that outside open, but Chris may be realizing, hey, you know, what's the point here? Long way to go. I'm just saving a little bit. I'll see you in a couple laps here as Ken Allen tries to go back under the 36 of Jeffrey Harden. But, man, same story, different page here. Oh, no! Back into 3. Harden hangs on. Oh, Bruce Pearson involved, and it's a parking lot in 3.
Yeah, unfortunate for Jeffrey Harden there. He did the perfect job after that contact was made to try to salvage his race and keep his car out of harm's way. But unfortunately, the pack coming down the field, and if we kind of see a replay from behind here, you may see that a lot of these cars that ended up making contact with him did not have good vision of what was going on ahead. Actually, Brian Neff getting into the 30 car there. So
we had 2 wrecks at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of odd. So maybe that kind of led to this wreck. Kind of have to see what the timeline was. But these 2 were kind of jostling going down the backstretch. Easy to do because it's hard to judge where your right side is, whether you're that outside car or you're that inside car. And you can see Jeffrey Harden moving around a little bit and also Kenny Allen moving around, and the 2 eventually came together. And it's a little bit bumpy back there, especially in these Tour Modified. So something that's very easy to do when you're racing close together with one another.
Well, JR, I mean, he was involved in that a little bit, so he had to jump on the binders pretty hard. But Ken Allen right now sitting on pit road, and he's getting 4 tires. The interesting thing, you see the pace truck rolling through 1 and 2. There they come off pit road. They're trapped a lap down. Not enough time to get 4 tires here tonight.
No, and I mean, that is something that it's almost something that you have to practice ahead of time. You've got to know how much time it takes you down pit road to do that tire change and to get back out. Ultimately, what probably should have happened with Ken Allen there was Should have taken that extra time to go one extra pace lap before coming down. Make sure he was fully caught up with the field. That would have given him his best shot to get the right side tires and to get back out there.
Yeah, and we're seeing some guys go on and off doing the 2 tires first time by, the other 2 tires the next time by. Just playing it smart, but, that's part of the game. And now we're down to, JR, 9 cars on the lead lap. So if we get another quick caution, do you consider it with there only being a couple cars on the lead lap, or are we run what you brung right now as the pace truck pulls off?
Yeah, it's going to be tough. I think if you're in the top 2 up there, you're probably committed to this strategy. You're probably going to have to stay out no matter what. It's going to be so hard to try to come through the field.
Back underway, 34 to play here. Tom Ogle with a great run off of 2. It looked like Bianchi was just stuck in the sand there. Opened it up to half a second already. And, man, Tom Ogle, he is just... it's Burger King out there tonight. He is absolutely having it his way. He is quick.
It is, and, in my opinion, what he's going to try to do is open up a lead here, and then you're going to see that lead stabilize because he's going to go back to taking care of his equipment. The thing that Ogle has advantage-wise over everyone else is that him and Ken Allen were the class of the field. They were pulling away from everybody at the beginning of this race. Now he doesn't have to worry about Ken Allen, so he can literally take care of his stuff and have lap time in the bank ready to go at the end of this race.
And I'll tell you what, it was a good night to mention that Hubble AI because, man, it picked Tom Ogle to win this thing. That thing might know a little more than us, apparently. If it goes 2 weeks in a row here, I'm just going to steal everything that Hubble AI says and manipulate it as my own word for now on.
Yeah, it does seem to be a pretty decent predictor there. It's going to be based off of averages and the way that a driver tends to do in certain situations. But obviously, there's always the human element that comes into play there. So there's always that chance for incidences to occur and mistakes to be made. So you never know what's going to happen, but obviously tonight looks like it's working well. We see Tom Ogle get very loose off of turn 2 there, as well as a couple of other drivers.
Yeah, and all of a sudden that gap, it's gone. It's down to quarter of a second. Right there is Bianchi. So Tom not going to have that luxury of being able to make another mistake here, JR. One more, he may lose the lead as Bianchi trying to do a little hunt on the bottom.
Yeah, Tom's going to have to just be very smooth at this point and get back into a rhythm because he's got the fastest car right now. As far as lap times are going all night, even in the long run, he's been the faster car, but had a little bit of a slip up there that cost him that lead that he had. He had a little bit over a 1 second lead. Now he's got to slowly chip away and get that lead back, but that's what I talked about right after that restart. Tom wanted to open up a slight lead before he went into trying to take care of his equipment because he knew if there was any type of slip up, he needed that distance in order to maintain the lead.
And you got to wonder here, JR, obviously Brian, he's a good guy. I don't think he'd do anything dumb, but at the same time, man, this is old school rules here. We've had some cautions. Brian Neff is that next car up the road, and he's the last car on the lead lap. How hard do you make those leaders work? JR, you can't be Mr. Nice Guy every week. You've got to try to hold on sometime. So I think Brian, he's going to have to really, really make him work to put him a lap down.
Yeah, absolutely. In my opinion, if we're not down to the last 10 laps, then you're going to need to fight hard. So Brian is at his disposal to do that. He can do whatever he needs to do to try to stay on this lead lap, and he's going to have to do it because in this series we do not get lucky dogs, we do not get waiver rounds, so he is going to have no advantage if that leader puts him a lap down. That essentially reduces his chances of being able to move up the finishing order late in this race. So he's going to fight hard, and rightfully so, but eventually Tom Ogle is going to catch him, and that is going to open up an opportunity for Brian there to try to make a move.
Now, that being said, it's short track racing, not a lot of room out there, but we've seen guys get aggressive before. If you're Bianchi, you get a big run on Ogle as maybe he's coming up on Neff. Any thought in your head, maybe send it 3 wide, make one of the other guys back out?
Yeah, I think you're going to have to be aggressive. So if Tom goes to try to make that pass on Brian Neff, then Bianchi's going to have to be thinking, how do I get a run to try to make a move at the same time? But we see on the screen, well, actually up ahead of this screen, Brian Neff actually moved out of the way for our leaders. So they're through. They do not have to worry about lap traffic right now.
And that is not what Bianchi wanted to see, if we're being honest. He wanted a little help, and now Mr. Excitement down there, Chris Davis, he is going to get to the inside. Guys, just letting the leaders play here. That's what the drivers want. I don't know, I like the excitement. Maybe not what I want to see, but I'm up here. I'm not the one out there putting in laps.
Yeah, it's a risk versus reward type thing for those drivers that are going a lap down. You've got to take into account the remaining races in this season, and you got to go, am I going to be in a chance of winning one of these races moving forward? If I have a chance to win one of those races, maybe I need to be nice to these leaders here, because it may come my time to where they're not nice to me if I decide not to play nice here. So some of those drivers taking that into account, choosing to get out of the way.
Seeing these guys race side by side, that's Negus on the outside, Rory Collins on the inside, and now you take a peek on Rory Collins outside. I believe that's the 5 of Torrance Childs. It is, and Torrance looking to complete the pass, but he gets a little loose coming off of 4, but we're seeing that high line once again, JR. That's where you want to be, if you can get that guy to commit to the inside. But then Torrance, he's got to check up a little bit of contact. Boy, that was close.
Yeah, very close right there between those two, and it's just one of those things off of turn 2. That inside car wants to push up. It does that in turn 4 too, usually not as bad, but Rory Collins having to ultimately get out of the throttle right there, and in return it's probably going to cost him another spot as Jerry Isaacs gets to the outside.
Yeah, we both know. We saw what Torrance did there. He gassed that thing up coming out of 3 and 4, and he goes, you aren't going to crowd me again, I'm going to crowd you. And now it's led to Rory losing another one, possibly 2. But you get stuck on that inside, and caution flag waves. And man, that means, JR, we're going to have about a 10-lap shootout once we get back going. Go pop the popcorn.
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking on screen here on the replay. We see Gavin Adams in that 30 car. Yeah, just getting loose in the middle of 3 and 4. Ultimately doing a nice job to save it. But as he got down there close to the grass, very slick down there, the car naturally, and it's the way these cars are set up. For whatever reason, they always, to me, feel like they turn better right than they turn left. And I think as he was trying to turn back onto the track, the thing just came around on him. The weight kind of shifted and allowed that car to spin out toward the outside wall. So nothing on purpose. It's one of the weird characteristics of these Tour Modifieds.
Let's see here. Let's pull up Brian Johnson here real quick. Let's talk to the man running 8th place. He's got the freshest tires on the racetrack. Brian, Shaggy in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, you got the freshest tires out there. Nobody else in front of you has stopped all night. How do we take advantage of this when we have like a 10-lap shootout here, bud?
As long as I don't mess up and start hitting the wrong switches like I did earlier when I missed my pit stall the first time, I'll be great.
Do you have a preference tonight? Do you feel like you got to get it done on the outside, or do you think you have enough advantage with the grip difference that you can work that inside still?
I love this car, and I can sling it anywhere that I want to put it.
JR, I like the confidence. I mean, you got anything for him?
I like the confidence too. Hey, Brian, where's your preferred place to try to make a pass? You've got the advantage with tires. Where are you going to try to do it? You going to try to go to the bottom of 1 and 2, or are you going to think that the bottom of 3 and 4 may be a better option?
I like the high side actually because of the run coming off. But if I can get it on the inside, I'd rather get it on the inside.
Well, hey, Brian, coming to the 1 to green here, I think. Go get him. Going to have a 9-lap shootout. Go get this thing done.
Thank y'all.
Yeah, I'm telling you, JR, that really is. It sounds dumb, but what do they say, football? You look good, you play good. Confidence is half that battle, and, man, he's feeling it right now.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have the confidence that you're going to be able to place that car wherever you need to try to make this move. Getting it done is going to be another thing, but he's got that confidence. We got 9 laps to go here. See what he can do.
As Tom drops the hammer back underway, JR set it 9 to play. Not a lot of time here. You're going to see Bianchi drives in a little deep, looking for a big run off the hill. He's right there with Ogle, but Ogle slowly extending that gap. And, man, Bianchi's really going to have to pull a card out from that sleeve here. Throw everything he's got on the table.
Yeah, he's pushing hard right now, and you can see the top two have already opened up a gap. That gives Bianchi more options. That means that he can run different, unique lines and not worry about getting passed on the outside by those cars behind him. So he's going to be searching around in these closing laps to see if he can find any little bit of extra grip.
Torrance Childs making a move for fourth here as he's looking under Negus through 1 and 2, but just another one. Oh, Negus, never mind. Got to back out of the throttle a little bit, breathe some life back into that 5, and Torrance right back on it. But if you look behind there, JR, Jerry Isaacs on the top shelf, he's trying to get some.
Yeah, he's trying to move forward as well, trying to get to the outside of the 5. I believe Isaacs is going to get a little bit too high, but he did a nice job of not making contact on corner exit.
5 laps to play this time, coming off a 4, and Bianchi's so close. He's right there, but right now, JR, the rubber's so old. They almost need that guy to make a mistake. It's going to be tough to get aggressive, but Bianchi's running out of time.
Yeah, the problem with the tires being this old is that you really, really have to be patient through the center of the corner to let this car rotate. If you get back to that throttle too soon, it's just going to push up the track through the middle and give you a poor exit line. So they're having to be aggressive right now, but they're also having to remember to stay patient enough not to overdrive that car and mess up the runs that they're getting.
Now, is it too late, JR, to dial some extra rear brake in this thing and really try to rotate it? Or are the tires just too aged by now?
I think it depends on how you took care of them throughout the first half of this race. If you've abused them pretty well, that car's already going to be pretty free on you, so you may be actually dialing front brake into this thing to try to keep the rear end under you on corner entry. It just all depends on how you've taken care of it. Whatever Brian Bianchi is doing seems to be working. He seems to have a little bit more pace during this run, but he just cannot find a way around Tom Ogle.
No, in the white flag waves, we got 4 corners left to play. Can Bianchi make a move? Do they make a little contact? Maybe get Lemire involved in this thing. He's a second out. He'd love to see a little bit of rubbing as we dive into 3 for the final time. Tom Ogle proven to be too much. AI knows everything. Tom Ogle brings home the checkered flag. Brian Bianchi P2 and Jeff Lemire rounds out the podium. JR, it was a little rough there in the beginning, but we got our green flag runs, and I think the cream rose to the top once again here.
It absolutely did. And even though we had some cautions tonight, there was no major accidents, where you sat there and went, hey, these guys are being way over aggressive. These drivers, they were being up on the wheel tonight, but they were doing it in the cleanest way possible around a track that is super, super tough. I cannot stress that enough. So overall, great job by these guys tonight.
Well, we're going to let Tommy destroy that motor and maybe blow those rear tires doing some donuts on the front stretch. He's going to grab a drink. We're going to grab a drink. You're going to watch some commercials, and we'll be right back with the interviews of your top 3 and a rundown of your full field. Stick around on the Virtual Grip Network. We are back live on the Virtual Grip Network, and the YesterYear Tour Modifieds put on a show once again here for the Thompson Speedway 100 at the Thompson International Speedway. And JR, man, Ken Allen may be involved in a little bit of a mix-up, spoiled us of maybe what could have been finish if he got up to the front, but still, Ogle and Bianchi, they put on a show. It was close.
Yeah, super close racing here tonight, but I will say for the most part, super respectful racing, which is tough to find in a series at a place like Thompson. So these drivers, they were up on the wheel, they were aggressive, and some of them overstepped the bounds a little bit tonight, but nothing that was egregious or anything. So great racing.
Let's take a look here at the final rundown as you saw Tom Ogle bringing home another checkered flag this season. Good run there for Tommy. Brian Bianchi bringing home P2. A good recovery run. I know he wanted that top spot, but man, that 14 needed a podium, and he gets one here tonight. Jeff Lemire coming home P3. Torrance Childs making the move late on Negus to get P4. Scott Negus bringing home 5th. Jerry Isaacs 6th. Brian Johnson 7th, and your last car on the lead lap, Rory Collins, finishing 8th. Brian Neff, we saw him respectfully pull out of the way of the leaders there, let them do their thing. He brings home 9th, and Ken Allen, after a rough contact there, what could have been for Ken, going to round out the top 10.
Coming home in 11th place tonight. Huge recovery for Alan Wanamaker going
I'm interrupting you right there. Yeah, that's crazy. How did I not notice he finished 11th? That's unbelievable, JR.
It is. Up and over the wall, but got the tow back to the pits and did not have enough damage to be out of it. So big move there for him. Dave Batone, he comes home in 12th place. Gavin Adams, 13th place tonight. Steve Hilbert, he'll come home in 14th. John Hastings, 15th place. Chris Hazlip, he'll be 16th. Bruce Pearson running into some issues along with Todd Liston, They will be 17th and 18th tonight. And Jeffrey Harden, he'll come home in 19th with Chris Davis coming home in 20th.
My mind is still blown. How did Alan Wanamaker get 11th after ballparking it? That's crazy. Randy Schuler coming home 21st. Luke Logan Allen coming home 22nd, and Michael Dow rounding out the field. But wow, Alan, shame on me for not noticing you got that thing back up into 11th as you crossed the line. What a recovery, man. That's one of the better ones of the year after flipping outside the track. But let's go ahead. Let's pull up our third place driver. We got Jeff. Now, Jeff, I've probably said it Lemire. I've said it Lemire. I've said it Lee Meyer. Which one is it, Jeff?
It's Lemire.
Lemire. Okay, all right, perfect. That's probably the easiest one. I should remember that. Sounds like Lemire, but Lemire.
It actually means the sea, La Mire. It's French for the sea.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, that's not... Don't tell my wife that. She might leave me for you. That's just because of a beautiful last name. But, Jeff, man, I'll tell you, you had a good run tonight, and it seemed like right at the end there, you were actually creeping up on the leaders. Did you maybe save a little bit too much and leave a little too much left in the tank?
I was trying to save up there for a while, but I think with about 15 to go, I had the same thing that happened to Tom. I got really loose, and I think I heated up my tires, and I just couldn't gain that momentum back to catch up to those guys. So it was fun watching those guys in front of me anyway.
Now, my partner up here, JR, mentions that all the time. Heating these up a big part of the game. You know, you overheat them. You got to let them come back to you. When you go for a slide like that, how long are you having to back it down to kind of bring it back to you? Is it 2, maybe 3 laps, or do you have to relax a little longer than that?
Yeah, sometimes a little longer than that. It depends. I mean, sometimes it doesn't come back really good, like Tom said earlier.
Well, hey, Jeff. Oh, no, continue.
You got to really focus on the right rear on these cars because that's really what goes out for money. You know, you run the NASCAR cars and that, you're really worried about your right front a lot of the time. But these guys, it's the right rear all day. Got to really practice saving that right rear.
Well, you know, I mean, coming into next week, I believe, JR, chime in. Where are we? You always know. I just
South Boston.
South Boston.
Yeah, and that's a long one. I mean, not one of these short sprints here. I believe 240 laps, maybe. What's the plan? rolling in there? I mean, how do you nurse it that long?
That's just going to be play it by ear. I've never run that many laps at South Boston, to be honest. I think we're running like 276 laps or 267 laps there or something like that.
Oh man, you know you're gonna have your hands full next week. You better work out a little bit this week, man. That's gonna take all you got. But congratulations on the good run here, Jeff. You got anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, I want to thank Alan for running this league. He does a fantastic job. This is my favorite track, so I've run a lot of laps here. I grew up right across the street from Thompson Speedway. From Stafford Speedway, and my cousin lived in Woodstock, so we were like 20 minutes from Thompson. I live in Stafford right across the street, so one night I'd stay over at my cousin's house and we'd go to Thompson Speedway, and he'd come down the next night and we'd stay over at my house and we'd go to Stafford Speedway. So I grew up at these tracks.
Now, I don't want you to date yourself here, Jeff. Too bad, but are we old enough? Did you get to see the Bodines race here?
Oh yeah.
Oh man,
Oh, yeah.
What was it? I can't kick you out yet. Now, what was that like watching the Bodine brothers go around this place, man? That had to be awesome.
I wasn't, to be honest with you, I wasn't really a Bodine fan. I was a Bugsy Stevens fan, and I watched him run Bugsy Stevens into the wall and a couple of times, and really had a bad taste for the Bodines. The racing at Stafford Speedway and the modified stuff changed when the Bodines got in there, because Dick Armstrong had all the money, and that's when things started to change. It started to go from just a bunch of good old boys warranting on their cars all week to some more big money racing. So that's when it started to change. I give all of those guys credit because they could all drive, but that's when it started to change. I was actually told the guys here. I was actually here at Thompson when Freddie DeSera went over the sand banking over there. So I've been around a while.
Well, got to see a lot of good racing, and you witnessed a lot of history.
Oh man, we took it for granted when we were kids, but now that I look back, I mean, we really had a really good childhood being able to, witness some of the great NASCAR racing that it was back then. It was a lot of fun.
Well, that's awesome, Jeff. And you got to get your butt on this podium more, man. I got to dig through that brain a little bit, hear some of these stories. Congratulations on a good run, man. Can't wait to talk to you again.
Thanks a lot. I'm working on it. It was a hard one tonight. I'm glad to be able to keep up with Brian and Tom up there. Those guys are tough, man.
Definitely, man. Well, Jeff Lemire, a.k.a. Jeff the C, rounding out the podium is JR. You got our second place finisher. Who's the man?
Absolutely, Brian. Man, we talked to you during the race. You were kind of just hoping to see how this thing would come to you and it would work out. But ultimately, you found yourself racing for the lead late in the race. Did you think that there was any moment where you might have something for Tom there?
Yeah, I did, but I mean, we were just so close. I just kept putting the pressure on, running different lines, trying to get him to maybe get loose or make a mistake. But I mean, we were so close in time. I mean, he beat me by half a tenth. I beat him by half a tenth. Yeah, it was a great run.
Yeah, and we talked about it during the broadcast. I know you started off this season, race 2, race 3, you had wins. So multiple-time winner, but then you had some rough races kind of move you down the points. What does a night like this do to help get that season turned back around for you?
Well, I hope it puts me back in the conversation, and I can string a few of these together and really get back in the mix. After Daytona, I really put myself back, and then I had equipment failure. So it's been interesting, and if I can get back into this, it'll be fun.
All right, I'm going to let you go on this one. So 2 of the next 3 races, we're going to South Boston, but they're not going to be short races like we had here tonight. You got 267 laps the first time we go there, then 300 the second time. What are your thoughts going to South Boston and trying to make something happen?
Well, I just won at South Boston. That was, 150 laps. I didn't even change tires. So I think a little bit of strategy will come into play. I think I'm fast at that place. So, I mean, I think this Culpeper's Bakery Colony Tire Ford will have something for him.
Awesome. That's what I like to hear, man. Hopefully next week we'll talk to you again, man. Congratulations tonight on that second place run.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right, Shaggy, who you got now?
What a professional response. And spoiler alert, Tom, if you didn't hear what Brian said, you better listen to that because he gave some advice. Went the last stint at South Boston, or the whole race, on one set of tires. That's a pretty big accomplishment. Guys are going to need to take note of that. But Tommy, back to victory lane here one more time, man. how are we feeling? Let's get right to it. You got loose with a couple laps to go, and you saw that lead shrink. I mean, were you scared?
I did. And then another time he just got a really good run off of two. I was a little loose, but not crazy loose. And he got up next to me, but then the caution saved me. So it kind of got me last week at Nashville, so I guess it owed me one. But I wasn't sure what was going to happen into three because it would have been hard for him to pass me on the bottom. But he was a little bit better. He was probably quite a bit better than me at the end. I think he had saved a little bit. I tried saving, but like if I get in a rhythm there, that track is such a rhythm like track that if you try to run a different pace, it's almost like you drop off 3 or 4 tenths a lap if you get out of rhythm. So I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna go and hope for the best.
Now you're gonna have to rewind a little bit, Tom, because it was 100 laps ago, but I think one of your big moves there to start the race, you had a great jump, man. You go from third to second right away. How important was that, being able to clear and just be able to go to work on Ken Allen? Because it seemed like, man, you couldn't have had a much better start to this race.
Yeah, anytime you can not have to pass somebody there is a huge advantage. And then I could kind of run behind him and just save and kind of figure out where I could take my time and kind of figure out where I was going to try to pass him. If I was third, then you burn up your tires passing. Every car you pass takes some tire away. And if that guy's just out front riding, by the time you get there, usually you're burnt up, you know?
I'll tell you what, Tom, if you go back and listen to this too, JR, I got to throw you under the bus here, man. We were talking about you because the AI system picked you to win, and you had thrown one lap in so far. You were P17, so it wasn't looking good for you, but little did my partner know you were on that P2 lap, and you ended up qualifying third. Do you think, if you wouldn't have put that second fast lap together, I mean, would you have been able to come through the field? Because it just seemed like it was so difficult to pass tonight.
I would have probably gotten wrecked. I didn't see what happened, but it sounded like there was a ton of contact back there. And especially, 100 laps is pretty short there, Like, pretty soon.
63 miles. Yeah, that's it.
And once you hit 50, you're like, boy, it's time to go. And then the thing you would have probably had to do is ride it out. And maybe, like, if you get a caution with 40 to go, pit, and then go. You know what I mean? You could maybe gain a little bit, but I don't know. Did anybody pit for tires that was back in the pack at all?
Brian Johnson was the only guy who pit. He pit on lap 60-something for tires. He only gained one spot. So you can see the rubber didn't really do a lot. He went from 8th to 7th. So.
Right, and it seemed like this car, like any contact with the front tires, would kind of mess you up a little bit. In qualifying, I threw away my first lap. I got into 1 really good and got off of 2 really good, but I was like, I better not. It's always tempting, because the second lap is always the fastest. But if you get a good one at the beginning, you get excited. But then if you mess up coming off of 4. And it kills both laps then, So discretion was the better part of valor because I didn't want to end up overdriving, getting loose, and starting 17th, But I just don't think you were going to work your way through the field.
Well, hey, Tom, before I let you say your thank yous and kick you on out of here, we roll into South Boston next week. Long race, 260-some laps, I believe. I mean, is qualifying as important? Do you want to pace the field, or do you want to just ride in the beginning, maybe start in the back? How are we going to play this thing?
I mean, it's always better to start out front, You can almost, you can set the pace then, unless somebody really wants to run hard. But, if you're out front, 1, you got a better chance of avoiding any problems. And 2, you can manage your race a little bit better. But that long of a race, it's going to be survival. Last time there, right at the beginning, I got involved. Somebody missed a shift or something, and we stacked them up. So you just got to survive there. I love that track, though. That's an awesome track, and with the banking and stuff, you can pass a little bit more.
Well, you came in tonight with a 1-point lead. You're going to leave with it being a little bigger. Congratulations on the good run, man. Who you want to thank?
Thank you. I want to thank Alan for putting on this league. He just puts in so much work and time and everything. And you guys for broadcasting, except whoever thought that I was not going to qualify good. I'm a little offended by that. I'm just kidding.
It wasn't JR's
Dang
fault.
it.
You know, you were listed. We thought you were done, and it was just he got tricked. That's all.
And actually, Brian Bianchi really raced me clean tonight. He could have maybe forced the issue once or twice, but he always races clean, and all the guys do. But he could have probably knocked me out of the way, but he raced me straight up, and I appreciated that.
Well, hey, heck of a run tonight, Tom, and
Thank you.
I look forward to talking to you Sunday, brother.
Yep, thank you.
Tom Ogle, man, he is the man with the plan this season. Your point leader at the moment in the YesterYear Tour Modified Series. And, oh, man, everybody better be on lookout, JR. He likes South Boston. I don't think that's what you want to hear if you're trying to battle this guy in points.
No, definitely not, because, we've seen Tom come through the field in other races. Not a place that would have been easy to do here tonight, but he qualified better than what I saw on his first lap, started up near the front. And, yeah, if he likes South Boston, these guys are going to have their hands full, because 2 of the next 3 races we are going there. And like I said, 267 laps the first race, 300 laps the second time we go back there. It's going to be a lot of laps, a lot of racing. And ultimately, I thought you needed to be patient at a place like Thompson, but 300 laps around South Boston, you better be patient there. Easy to get yourself in trouble, very narrow racetrack, and you don't want to take yourself out of this points battle.
Yeah, and you better practice those pit stops, because, JR, if you get caught a lap down, that many laps, you're in for a long night. But let's take a look here. What's coming up next on the Virtual Grip Network? Thursday, JR, you're at Oxford Plains Speedway. You and Soup, man, how we feeling about this one? You excited?
I will say I am not excited about that. I'm not a fan of Oxford Plains. I know a lot of people are. I think it will produce a good show with that group over at the Red Light Racing League. But yeah, it's going to be very, very hard to pass at a place like that. It's going to be a lot of contact, a lot of action. So if you're somebody that likes watching that type of racing, that will be one to tune in for.
You heard JR talk South Boston Speedway next Tuesday, June 3rd, 8:30 Eastern. That is going to be a big boy. I mean, get ready. Show up with the steak dinner. I mean, we're going to be here. We're going to bring you an amazing show. And I'm telling you, JR, this is, I think we're in, I don't want to jinx this, but I think we're in for a 100-plus lap green flag run. We might see some green flag pit stops next week.
I hope so. It'll be extremely cool to see that in these cars, and that opens up a lot of strategy, especially if you're back in the pack. So that would be extremely cool to see.
Well, it was an awesome night of racing here on the Virtual Grip Network, and we're really, really thankful that y'all could tune in. You witnessed a great run and another win for Tom Ogle here in the YesterYear Tour Modifieds. But on behalf of everyone at the Virtual Grip Network, my partner, J.R. Shepard, the dude in the back, Ryan Seneker, we'd like to thank all of you for tuning in and spending your Tuesday night with us. Have a good night.